Yes, it is warm. I'm smiling. I don't have 15 acres like some people. DeAngelo Hall. But I do have my own little space. My 15 square feet.
In your garage.
I mean, come on. That's a humble brag. All right, so let's get to some news. There's obviously a lot of buzz in Duval at the moment, and for good reason. Just ask Mayor Lenny Curry or ask Matt Hamilton. They've got a franchise quarterback, a new head coach, and some guy who's going through a position change. Either way, Trevor Lawrence is in the honeymoon stage, if you will, of his NFL career, and also in the honeymoon phase of his recent marriage as well. He joined NFL Total Access on Wednesday and says the communication with Urban Meyer has been great. And he's been very clear on his expectations. Lawrence also weighing in on the other big story in Jacksonville. You know the one I was telling you about, the position change of one Tim Tebow.
I've had a few good conversations with him, and I'm really excited to play with him. I think that's, I don't know if you're going to find a better guy to have in your locker room, and he's in great shape. He looks great. He's been out there practicing with us the last 2 days and on Thursday of last week. So 3 practices in, he looks great. He's running around well. Everyone's excited to have him in the locker room, seeing what he's been able to do, the ultimate competitor he is, and just his character. That's just a guy you want on your team for one, and the guy you want to be around.
All right, so we'll see how that unfolds. Meanwhile, it was announced yesterday that Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson, forks up, will run it back on the links, this time taking on Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau in the match. TB12 immediately trolled Rodgers by posting on Twitter that DeChambeau better get used to laying up because Rodgers isn't going for it. Rodgers then countering on Instagram saying, quote, good versus evil, light versus dark, resistance versus empire, hashtag rise of the resistance, hashtag the force is strong. Rodgers, of course, in Hawaii, and he is going to be in Montana. Hopefully, Miles Teller will be joining him in the gallery. But to really spice things up here, Schrags, is they need to have a course correspondent. And why not have Brooks Koepka? That would be the way to do it. Or have him be part of the trophy presentation. Koepka, DeChambeau.
That would have been
I'm
something.
there.
Would have been something. I'll one-up you. Why don't we have Brooks, Koepka, and Goody as the opponents as opposed to who we had there, Brady and Mickelson. Yeah. Just an idea. That would be kind of hot. That would be good.
Oh, yeah.
Will, thank you. We talking about Aaron Rodgers here. I have a pretty cool opportunity. Sean McVay and I are going to be co-hosting a podcast for the next few weeks for Spotify and The Ringer. Yes, co-hosting. McVay's one of the hosts. It's pretty neat. And we're bringing on other coaches, and it's called Flying Coach. It's just for a limited amount of run. It's just for this offseason and a couple more weeks to go. But we wanted to show you a clip from this where it's Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, and Robert Saleh all discussing the magic that is Aaron Rodgers. Take a listen.
This guy's something else, man. There's nothing he can't do on the field. And what's equally as impressive is his mind and just the things that he can see, that it's just amazing. There was a clip earlier this year versus Detroit. And I'm always watching the shot clock and I'm watching it going down. And I think we had a motion on a play and they're in an all out pressure look. And I'm looking at the clock and it's at 5 seconds. And he's still talking to the tight end, and the amount of things that he got done in 5 seconds was mind blowing. Well, I didn't think he was going to get it done. I popped the timeout before he could get the ball off. Of course, he got everything done. He got the ball snapped, and it was a premier look that was going to be a little dump off to our tight end. That was going to be wide open, and I'll never forget. He ripped my ass, man.
Yeah.
So he had it under control.
Hey, you talking about that though? How about the one sequence when you played Robert on Thursday night? Same type of situation. This guy changes his tendency. Not a big zero guy in the tight red area, but unless you're playing the Packers, I guess he did that a couple times a couple years ago. But how about for him to be able to get to the hand signal, extend his cadence out? He gets it, end up drawing a PI right there. But I just thought to myself, you know how exciting that is to see what he just did right there.
I mean, they're in awe of Rodgers. It was awesome. And that's the stuff that I, as a sports writer up in the box, or me as a viewer at home, might not even acknowledge. But the coaches are oohing and eyeing about it. James, you've seen Rodgers up close and in person. The question is this: does the casual fan not even appreciate just how good and what Rodgers does at the quarterback position because we're not accustomed to knowing things like the shot clock and pre-snap motion and all the reads that he does that goes so unspoken on some of these broadcasts?
No, Peter, they don't. And also, this is no offense to you because I would have done the same thing. I was watching you in the top corner just kind of like geeking out, listening to them talking because it's exactly what I would do too. You're just like listening to these three great coaches talk about one of the greatest minds in the NFL. And I think about, a couple of days ago when I couldn't figure out which way I was pointing with Julio Jones and Aaron Rodgers, I was asked who's more likely to make a highlight reel play. And I picked Julio Jones because why? America likes to see people that don't look like everybody else in terms of Julio Jones's size, athleticism, the way he can jump, do all these things. You want to see on TV somebody that obviously looks different than you do something. Aaron Rodgers looks like everybody else outside of the man bun. And so people don't really know what he's really doing out there. It's part of the reason why Tom Brady gets so much hate. It doesn't look super athletic. It doesn't look very eye-popping, but it's incredible. I look at the play last year, I think it was 2019, when he's going against the Chiefs, and this touchdown throw is incredible. Patrick Mahomes wasn't actually playing in this game. He was watching it, and I remember him tweeting out saying it's one of the greatest throws he's ever seen, and it just looks kind of nonchalant the way he flicks it into the corner there, but it is absolutely incredible. And I know D. Hall knows about going against the eyes of Aaron Rodgers. I remember talking to Bruce Arians before the NFC title game, a game I covered in Green Bay, and he said, all that no-look stuff that Patrick Mahomes does and look one way, throw another, that was all originated by Aaron Rodgers. He's been doing that forever. He is the best in the game at fooling people with his eyes and having unbelievable arm talent.
Yeah, James, you're absolutely right. And I even think back to watching Brett Favre kind of do it a little bit and Aaron kind of learning a little bit of that from Brett. And so, having competed against Aaron Rodgers, it's no way the casual football fan can appreciate it because it's times that when we're in film room trying to figure things out and figure out how we're going to attack this offense and then we go to implement it in the game, it's times that we've watched that play 5 or 6 times trying to figure out, all right, well, gosh, okay, he moved this guy with his eyes that way, but the motion pre-snap did this. And it's just so many different dynamics that go into the sequence of a play. And that's why, Peter, I loved watching that too. I'm over here kind of geeking out too because it takes me back to those conversations, being in that film room with your coaches trying to figure out, hey, how are we going to defend this guy? Because, I think a lot of people forget when Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson kind of hooked up, they invented, and our colleague James Jones, they kind of invented that back shoulder throw. And all that was a little bit of a check with me on the fly. If you as a DB were high because you were faster than Jordy Nelson and in the perfect position, Aaron and him just knew, all right, we're going to throw it back shoulder, so you'll always be open. If you're short, we'll throw it high, let you go get it. Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys, man. You got to watch it about 5 or 6 times to really understand what he's done.
Yeah, and I often think about how intimidating it must be for any coach in the NFL, the one that has 10 years of experience under his belt or somebody who's relatively new to the position like Matt LaFleur, to sort of coach a guy that can not only do those things that we're all geeking out over physically, but also who has such a grasp of the game from a cerebral perspective and a grasp of the offense. It can't be easy to be like, all right, this is how it's going to go. I would be so intimidated by that. I think Aaron Rodgers is intimidating in a lot of different ways, but it seems like Rodgers and LaFleur have a great relationship. I think we need to give that some credit. There's tumult going on. There's things aren't great up there in Green Bay, but I give a lot of credit to Matt LaFleur, and we've heard Aaron Rodgers say nothing but good things, nothing but pleasantries, and dishing out respect and praise for his coach. So that relationship seems very strong, and I think that might be